All right, and we are back once again. Listen, again, I always talk about how excited I am to be doing this show, but I don't think folk understand. I'm gonna tell the truth. I can't stand doing this show sometimes, but I'm always excited to get on here and share information with the folks.
That's it.
And talk about the things that we talk about. So again, this is the Real Life Real Estate Investing Show where we talk about real life real estate situations, but we bring you real life real estate solutions. I'm your host, Glenn Glasper, affectionately known as Mr. Dollar Out of a Dime.
And I'm the co-host, Candace Briggs. Nice to see everybody again. Welcome. And let's go. Let's have a great show. Let's get it.
We'll have a great show. We'll be right back after this. All right, folks, welcome back. We are going to be talking about some amazing stuff today. As always, and our topic today is going to be what I think a lot of people, some people scared to talk about this.
Scared to talk about it. However, it's very necessary to talk about. Very necessary.
We're going to talk about market trends. Well, we're going to talk about what's happening in the market today.
Okay.
And I want to also get into some of the relativity of what has happened over the last, we'll say, 10 or 15 years.
Okay.
And how a lot of what's happening then is relative to what's happening today.
Yeah.
And I want to even get into why some people are afraid to talk about.
Okay. Yeah.
Just right off the bat, I think some people are afraid to talk about it because we push the line on this show anyway. Listen, people, because it's real life, people are afraid to talk about it because a lot of the real estate agents that got in a couple years ago got in because they was rolling. You had wholesalers, you had fix and flippers, you had a lot of these people came into the market because everything was popping.
Yeah. It was that microwave society.
And now they back at Popeyes.
Yep.
Did I say that?
It was popping, now they popping back.
I mean,
whatever their job was, absolutely.
And that's relative to the trends of the real estate business because you have ups and downs.
Absolutely.
And I think a lot of times people can't appreciate. And I'll be honest, I don't like it.
I don't know anybody that does.
I don't like it.
I mean, you don't like it, and also you're making it work for you, right?
Yeah.
You're pivoting to make it work for
you.
Definitely.
So
yeah, of course, during the times where, and 2 years ago, when interest rates were
right,
and people were paying $100,000 over asking price, and as you said, yes, negative 2 hours on the market. Like his house was barely listed on the market, and it's already under contract. 100,000, 50,000, 75,000 over market or asking price. It's like people can get used to that very quickly.
Definitely.
However, those of us that have been true to it and have been in the game a little bit longer understand that was an anomaly.
Yes.
That was an anomaly.
Yes.
And while it was good, and also a lot of people have now fallen off because they're not used to the 30 days, 45 days on market. They didn't
60 days.
60 days, yeah. They didn't plan for
jumping off the cliff when they 90 days not selling.
Yeah.
I was just reminded I had a house on the market for 9 months.
Oh wow.
Back in 2014.
Was that an anomaly too?
2014, 2015.
Okay.
No, and I'll be honest, it was my fault.
Okay.
It was my fault. I accept responsibility.
Always.
I had this house on the market for 9 months and I didn't stage it.
Okay.
The agent kept saying, go ahead and stage it, And I was like, I don't want to spend the money. Because
you spent it either way.
I did.
You spent that money either way.
So I was accustomed to the days where staging wasn't a major thing, and I'll be honest, I got accustomed to the days where, we just put some carpet and paint and it sells.
It sells,
But of course, during that time, times had changed.
Absolutely.
and it was necessary to stage it. I promise you, I staged it on Wednesday.
Okay.
We put it on the market on Thursday and
Always.
got either 3 or 4 offers by Friday.
After the 9 months.
After
whole time.
9 months.
Wow.
And the agent, shout out to, I'm gonna remember her name. Shout out to her. She knows who she is. She went back to market after we staged it again.
Okay.
Put it back on the market, got 3 offers. 2 of them were all cash.
Wow.
And I was like, wow. Of course, the ones with all cash, they boosted up the number to get it done.
For sure.
And I think one only required like 4 or 5 days due diligence.
Oh wow.
So with that, I was like, staging will be a part of what I do in every deal going forward.
Every time.
And I speak to that because you look at then and now.
Sure.
And I'm gonna go back from then and before.
Okay.
I'm going to talk about then and before, but between then and now, staging has become a major part of what we do in the business.
Yes.
And it being relative to even the types of staging being relative to the market.
Yep.
And
in the area that you're in. Absolutely.
That's very important.
Absolutely.
Wanting people to understand that the market will change. You have to be able to make the adjustments to change with it.
Absolutely.
What was somebody said? You're only as good as the last
flip,
last deal or flip
you
close. And that's something I had to make an adjustment to.
Absolutely.
Like I said, I ain't like it, but it is what it is.
And 2 points in what you just said. One being, your mindset was, I don't have the money for it, but you sat on the market for 9 months. So how much were you paying in holding costs?
Oh no, I had the money. I just didn't want to spend it.
but you spent it either way. You spent probably more. More because
I want to say in holding costs for 9 months.
Yeah,
I probably spent close to $10,000.
Yeah, see.
So that's $10,000 of profit that I didn't realize. I don't say I lost it.
Yeah, right.
Because it was a lesson.
Right, absolutely.
I didn't realize that profit because of the time that it took me to succumb to the market.
To that market, yeah.
And just putting some furniture. I only really, it was a 3-bedroom. I staged 1 bedroom.
The primary. Oh
yes. Yep. And then I staged another one as a children's bedroom.
Okay.
I didn't even stage the third one.
Oh, so you didn't do living room either?
I did the living room, and I think they put some tiles. My wife did the staging.
For sure.
We had the furniture from I think it was Rent-A-Center or something like that.
Whatever works.
And the house sold.
Yeah.
I was like,
it was an eye opener for you.
It was a major eye opener.
Yeah.
It was a major eye opener.
And the other bullet point from there is what we talked about a couple shows ago, is that relationship and trusting the relationship. So as you were saying, the agent was saying to you, go ahead and stage. And you're like, nah.
I'm not staging.
Yeah, right.
I didn't want to spend the money.
Right. But just that relationship to say, you know what, maybe you're right. Let's try it out on month 6. You know what I mean?
Right.
Those are the 2 bullet points that I pulled from what you just said.
And just one thing, you said it in a roundabout way. Is trusting the professional stuff to the professionals.
Yep.
I'm not a real estate agent, and I don't play one on TV.
Right.
I call myself a what I call it, a secret agent.
Okay.
My wife's an agent, so that makes a special agent.
Yeah.
My wife's an agent, so that makes me special.
There you go.
But
so all the skills at the house.
Right. So, and when she said that, when the agent told me that, and to stage it, when I look at the numbers, I probably spent for that staging $1,000.
If that, yeah.
Maybe $1,500.
Yeah.
I spent $1,500, and in 3 days I got an offer. 2 days I got an offer.
Multiple offers.
Yeah. So I realized the time that I spent. My son's learning about opportunity cost at school now. I missed the opportunity to get that property sold, and being hard-headed and rebellious and not wanting to stage it.
And also, that's what you needed to learn the lesson.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Also, because you probably would have learned that lesson somewhere else down the road, but you got it right then and there. So,
you'd be bringing up some real good stuff. I look at that as education.
Absolutely.
Right. And in the business of real estate, we're going to pay for education one way or another.
One way or the other.
Had I been, I'll say obedient.
Yeah.
It is what it is.
Yeah.
If I had followed the instructions
Mhm.
of the professional
Right.
who told me this is what I needed to do,
Yeah.
I would have not had to pay for the months of education
Yeah.
that I paid.
Yeah.
I could have shortened my learning curve and just did what she said and been on to
And
do what it, trusted what she said and went on and made the sale.
I made the sale. Yeah.
And I equate that to a lot of people who get in the business, and while we're talking about trends, there's been a trend of people who've gotten in the business,
Yes. Yes.
and the trend with them is let me get in and make some money,
Quick money.
quick money,
Quick money.
which is okay to a degree, but
To a
what has
degree.
quick money ever done for us? It's a
It
good
leaves quickly.
it was just a good quick fix,
Yeah.
but there is no real education in that.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Um, so I mean, just I guess relating my experience with that with even people that are coming into the business today, not wanting to invest in the education
Right.
because
Right.
there's YouTube, there's Google, there's all these resources,
Resources. Yeah.
we'll call them, that are available for you to learn the basics.
Right.
However, I think people miss it that it's a whole lot beyond the basics that you should understand and appreciate
A whole lot.
before pulling the trigger, or otherwise you're going to pay the expensive cost that you were trying to avoid spending
And let's be
on the
honest,
education.
the book knowledge is way different than in actually physically doing it
Oh,
knowledge,
man.
right? So it's like,
Man.
yeah, you can go to Google, yes, you can go to YouTube to learn these things, but the
Mhm.
moment you step out and actually apply, it's lessons that can't be learned by reading something. Like
Right.
we learned that early. I
And
was like,
right.
oh gosh.
Yes. And,
Yeah, yeah. So
yeah,
it's two different
because
learnings.
the business of real estate is ever changing.
It is. It is.
I will say there are no new fundamentals. The
Okay.
fundamentals of the business will remain the same.
Okay.
I mean, what was it said before? You can't manufacture antiques,
Yeah.
right?
Okay. No, right? That you cannot.
The fundamentals will remain the same.
Absolutely.
It's just a matter of, I mean, I'm teaching my son fundamentals of basketball. Like,
Oh.
you got to learn how to dribble. He like, I want to shoot. No, you got to learn how to
You
dribble
got
first.
to dribble first. You can't travel down the ball with the ball,
Exactly.
right?
So, and the basics of what people skip over is a lot of different things. We can cover that if you want to, but I think those are relative to where people come into the market, and it changes. They come in where it's on a high,
Yeah.
and then the trend changes, and it's a low,
Yeah.
and then they're done with it because
They didn't understand the
they
fundamentals.
didn't understand the fundamentals.
Yep. And you say basketball and fundamentals. One of the most fundamental sound teams when I was growing up was the Spurs.
You
They
said
were
Detroit Pistons?
Huh.
Oh, I thought you said Detroit Pistons. Did I get that wrong?
All wrong. All wrong. They were good though. I did enjoy watching them. However, the Spurs, they were so boring to watch, but the fundamentals they had no matter what.
All day
When
long.
Tim Duncan was there, I
Yes.
was like, they are so boring
Yes.
to watch. However, the
Yes.
fundamentals, so that isn't anything in life.
Yeah.
If you have a solid foundation, I know we say it's a little cliche, but it's so true. If you have a good foundation, no matter what market, no matter what storm comes your way, you're solid.
Real story.
Yeah. So that's basketball. Like you say, you're teaching your son how to play basketball, and it just goes to anything. You have to have a strong foundation, whatever you're doing. Take the time to learn whatever it is you want to learn. Get solid in it before going to the next step. Because you skip steps, now the cracks start coming. Right. And we and turn some water on with some cracks and see what happens. It loosens everything, right? So start skipping steps. You create more cracks in your foundation. And now what will you have? Say 6 months, a year down the road when the market changes, when you're playing a difficult team or whatever the case may be. You don't have that solid foundation. So have a solid foundation, folks. And I know it's discipline. It's discipline to get there.
That knowledge she dropped, we could end the show right here.
Might drop now. But I mean, it takes discipline, right?
Yes,
It takes discipline to say, man, this section right here, it really isn't the most interesting, or it's not the most lucrative. However, build the blocks and it'll come. And it'll come. So yeah, foundation.
It's it's one of those things where I look at, like, even now I'm transitioning into doing different things in the business, like one of them being primarily focusing on purchasing, fixing, and selling on seller financing.
Right.
Even though that's something I've had experience with,
Okay.
that's something I've also had to circle back and relearn.
Okay.
Just to be sure that I have the fundamentals
For sure.
sound.
For sure.
One thing that I found out, and again, I still am supposed to verify this. Well, when selling on seller financing, you're realizing you're taxed as if you're realizing that profit on the front end.
Okay. Okay.
I haven't confirmed that yet.
Sure.
I think I heard that, but I haven't confirmed it yet.
Okay.
So that's a thing that doing the way I'm doing it, I didn't actually realize.
Okay.
And in some cases, you're still required in some places and in some cases,
Yeah.
not in Detroit, you're still required to have a loan officer to manage your seller financing because you're providing financing in a sense.
Financing. I gotcha.
You know, so you're supposed to have a loan officer to do those things for you.
Oh wow. Okay.
As a result of Dodd-Frank and that whole debacle that happened after the mortgage crisis. But the thing that the lessons in that is it's a change.
Yes.
It's a change. It's a change in the trend of the market. And it's something like that that most people who get in the business wouldn't even pay attention to.
Wouldn't even think about.
You know.
Yeah.
I really am still trying to overlook it. Don't tell nobody I said that.
Everybody close your ears. Turn the radio down a little bit.
But I'm gonna do it right. I'm gonna do it right.
Yes.
Because again, how I look at what I do, I don't know if I'm always. Well, let me say that I'm always be a real estate investor.
Sure, absolutely.
But it's a means to my end. Like I'm transitioning. I want to do some other things.
So that's fair to say you're an investor of all the things.
Yes.
Right. So you're investing in multiple things.
That's
real estate being one of them.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
But you are an investor of different things and different avenues.
Yes.
Yeah. Don't put yourself in a box.
And so as it relates to trends, let's talk about what's happened. You know, I want to go back. I want to do some retro, some old school stuff.
Let's go.
But I want to talk about just for the folks that are watching to give them some relativity of what's happened from, we'll give it 5 years ago.
5 years ago, okay.
To now.
Okay.
There was talks over and over and over and over again, and still to this day, about the market crashing. Did the market crash? We didn't miss it. We missed it.
Was our head down? We were working. We were working when this was going on. And it's interesting because me personally, I never believe of a crash. I believe of a correction of sorts.
Yes.
And also, I don't think that personally, I still don't think that it'll ever go to where it was once before, like to the actual crash.
Right.
Now, is there a correction to some of again, those 2 years ago high prices and things of that nature? I think there's going to be some sort of correction, but me personally, I don't think that it's going to crash. Well, I just don't believe it.
And that's the thing that a lot of people have been banking on. And I give it 5 years, probably a little longer than that. But a lot of people have been banking on a 2008 real estate crisis. They've been saying, "Oh, it's going to happen. The market's going to crash. Market's going to crash." And I look at that. I'm just like, now understanding the fundamentals.
Yes, back to the fundamentals.
Understanding the fundamentals. A lot of things are writings on the wall of a potential crash.
For sure.
I had no idea how to read those hieroglyphics before.
No idea what this means, guys. Somebody help me out.
During that time, it was like, "Oh, the bubble's gonna burst. The bubble's gonna burst." I had no idea what they were talking about.
Yeah.
I was in real estate. I was rocking and rolling. They talking about a bubble. I'm like, I don't even chew bubble gum, so I don't know what y'all talking about.
What are y'all talking about?
But now, because of seeing what happened during that time, and looking at what's been happening over the last 5 years, the one constant, even now to this day, the one constant has been low inventory.
That's it.
And how can you have a shortage of something that, well, how can you say that there's going to be a bubble burst where there's something that's a shortage of that's in high demand?
In very high demand.
And you have new construction happening all over the place. And these places are being bought up quickly.
Before they're even done.
Before they're done.
Yep. Put a rendering out there and it's like, oh, framework is up. Okay, boom, we'll buy it.
And that's been the running theme over the last few years. A lot of people who have done spot deals, they've built communities, they've built a lot of these different things have happened over the last few years, and they're always getting full.
Yeah.
How do we have a crash when there's still high demand?
I don't see it.
So
personally,
so even with and people will say, "Oh, well, people stopped buying because the interest rates went up." Yes, people slowed down buying.
Interest rate. Can we talk about interest
Let's
rate?
get let's
Okay.
let's go
I'm
there.
sorry.
That's gonna take me back. That's gonna take me back to the previous 15 years.
Yeah, because what you said the other day was very powerful because yes, interest rates went up.
Mhm.
Yes, no, there's no denying that, guys. There's no denying that. However, they went up to what? Numbers that we've seen previously in our
Yes.
lifetime.
Absolutely.
In our lifetime.
Absolutely. Yes.
It's frustrating because a lot of people are like, oh, I can't buy because, like you're saying, the interest rate. But the thought process, and maybe I'm looking at this incorrectly, and if so, let's talk about it.
Mhm.
But like people are like, oh, I can only buy when it's 2 and 3%. That's great.
Mm.
However, you can still buy now, and once the interest rates come down, refinance.
Right.
Or
Right,
refinance
right.
to get your lower interest rates, because I personally don't believe that the housing market is going to get any lower than where we are, or that's anything in life. I think prices are right now the lowest they're going to be
For a while.
Yeah.
I will say for a while.
Yeah,
Yes.
I don't know. I don't see them dropping much lower than where we are
There, I say there's a potential still for that to happen.
to drop.
Not drop.
Okay.
Decrease.
Some. Okay.
Decrease.
Okay.
But drop, you know, and of course, you know, I add the dramatics to it.
Yeah.
Because some people look at drop as in prices, how's it going to be half the prices that there are today. That's not, I don't see that happen.
Negative.
I agree with you there.
Yeah.
There will be a slight decrease as, and then, you know, it's going to be challenging to say this too, because there has still not been the fallout that people were expecting as a result of COVID.
Yeah.
Oh, foreclosures and this, that, and that, you know, that stuff hasn't happened. It's still, I think it's still in the pipeline.
Yeah.
That transition is still in the pipeline. So,
but it is coming though with the foreclosures.
It's coming.
It is coming. Yeah.
It's coming. So in that's going to provide additional inventory
for sure.
So in the additional inventory, will we get 6 months or more above the inventory? You know, I don't think that we're going to get that much more.
Right.
But because there will be additional inventory and additional opportunities, that will then potentially bring the prices down.
I can understand that.
Yeah.
Okay.
You know, because the demand, the inventory will then be almost aligned with the demand.
With the actual demand.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But then, you know, there's programs that are helping people through those situations.
Yes,
you know?
And there are.
So
We'll see. We'll see how many properties actually make it through.
Right.
For sure.
Right. Yeah, you're gonna have some people who won't know how to handle those situations. I mean, as with most anything.
Yes.
They won't know how to handle those situations, and they will experience having to go through you know, catching up on their mortgage, or that balloon payment that became due after the moratorium, when they're like, oh, well, you don't have to pay for the year.
Right. It gotta come from somewhere, folks.
But now we want you to pony up.
Yeah, right. Right now you have 30 days.
Right.
You have 30 days paid off. No.
Yeah. So I think, you know, as a result of some of that, as where we'll have that increase in inventory, where prices will probably.
No, that makes sense. Actually makes sense.
Will it go back to a buyer's market? Probably not anytime soon.
I don't see it. I don't know. We'll see. I think we're ways away from that as well.
Yeah.
And if anyone's listening and you're in a situation where you're faced with pre-foreclosures or anything like that, please reach out. Send us a DM.
Absolutely.
We can help you guys out as much as possible. Please let us know.
Okay, we have Kimberly that is saying interest rates will never hit 2 to 3% again. That was an anomaly, and it's over. Waiting for that again, you might as well prep for the apocalypse.
In the bunker somewhere. In the bunker.
You know, I think that there is a chance that, and I think there is a chance that interest rates can go lower.
To 3? Lower than where we are. So right now
it might be like 2 and 3 was an anomaly.
It was,
yes.
Yeah.
But I think there is a chance that they will go lower. Now there will be a way. And okay, this is how I'm looking at this.
Okay.
Because you remember interest rates were at 1% once upon a time. Now that was because they were interest only loans.
Gotcha.
And then, you know, you had the 2-year, 3-year, 5-year ARMs.
For sure.
Now the challenge with that happened during the market crash.
Okay.
The challenge with that is people weren't educated about those loans during that
Yeah.
time.
I
So
can
they're
understand that.
figuring, okay, I can get a $300,000 house and my payment is $500 a month
Because you're only making the interest
because
payments.
you're only making the interest payment.
No principal and all that.
Exactly.
Yeah, yeah.
However, in 2 years, you got to pony up. So the problem with that was
Wow.
people weren't educated enough to prepare themselves for that hike
Absolutely.
in the payment
A
that they
huge hike. I can
right.
imagine that example that you just provided.
Yeah.
Wow.
So in the event of there being a lot of inventory, and again, this is where I'm, it's kind of maybe, maybe not. There is a possibility.
For sure, for sure.
In the way of there being a lot of inventory, that inventory is going to have to be purchased.
Yeah.
Now, and I'm not just talking about for the onesie twosies investors or the homeowners that will buy. I'm talking about for the Wall Street buyers,
Yeah.
right? Those
Yeah.
Wall Street buyers will be more apt to purchase a bulk of those properties.
Yeah, portfolios, buying them.
Exactly.
Yep.
If they can make more money on their money.
Yes, absolutely.
You figure interest rates increased, the Wall Street buyers slow down. You see, because they're like, okay, at the 2-3%, you had all of the, I don't want to call them out, but a lot of the hedge funds that were buying properties in bulk.
Buying them up.
Interest rates increased, they slowed down.
Yes.
Because they figure those are the properties that maybe the homeowners will buy, and there's no real competition there. Who's going to compete at paying 8-9%?
8-9, right? Nobody.
Right?
Nobody.
Very few.
Yeah. Well, that's true.
Very few. So that's why I say it might be a way that, and it also is going to depend on the political aspect of it, right? Who becomes our next president, and who's going to have the bleeding heart of going somewhere. Kimberly, don't come for me.
Right.
Who's going to have the bleeding heart for the people who are in business? Now, this is all benefit. This benefits us, for those that are in business. We recently had a situation where there was a president who was in real estate. Don't know if that's going to ever happen again. 91 indictments, but I'm just saying.
One and done.
But there might be someone that comes along and sees how something like that can increase the economy.
Yeah.
You give more tax breaks, you lower interest rates, it can drive the economy in a way that will help even the little guy if you show them how to actually benefit from it.
It goes back to the education.
Right. So, and like I said, it will go back to the political aspect. And the reason why I relate things like that to the politics is politics are the driving force of the decision, people that make the decisions. And I say that because those decisions are either made out of bravery or out of fear.
Out of fear, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
You figure if I got somebody that's in the office that appears to be on my side, I can take chances and not worry about the backlash. I'm skating around this quite a bit. I can take chances and not have to worry about the backlash because they doing what I do.
Right.
You know what I mean? Or they can relate. Going back to the old adage of pull yourself up by your bootstraps.
Okay.
That was a Republican saying or Republican terminology, as opposed to the Democrats. And this is not a political show. I'm just giving examples of relativity to market trends.
Right.
How things change. It depends on the political party that's in charge, because people will look at how they can do business as opposed to how they should be afraid to do business. If that makes sense.
It does. That's big.
It's higher. There is a higher likelihood if there's a Republican president in office who typically gives tax breaks to the higher earners and things like that. It's a higher likelihood that they will go out and do more business, and they will provide more jobs and opportunities because they get tax breaks for doing
tax breaks. Yeah, it's all about.
You got a Democratic president. They're not that liberal. Well, they're liberal to the liberals, right?
Yeah.
But they're not giving those types of tax breaks. They want to increase the taxes on the wealthy, and the wealthy are less likely to provide those opportunities
because they're getting taxed more.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So that's why, I don't want to get too much into the political aspect of it,
Yeah.
but that's how a lot of the politics or who's ever in charge relates to the market trend.
The actual market trends. Yeah.
I see Kim says, where you can guarantee 100% interest rate is continuing to rent. Yes. Well, people continue to rent. Then she says, I don't subscribe to a buyer's and seller's market. People are always buying and people are always selling.
Because people always need a place to live.
Absolutely.
And as many people, Georgia specifically, as many people as moving to Georgia,
yes.
Like, where are they going? These apartment rentals are crazy.
Definitely.
And they're smaller. So it's like the likelihood that they're coming to look for houses that they can rent short-term, long-term, which is another strategy during this market.
Yes.
Is higher because you get more space, you get a garage, you get a driveway, and in some cases is less than an apartment. Because those apartments are crazy right now.
Yeah.
They're crazy expensive.
And as you pointed out, again, that's the thing that people have to also look at. We're talking about market trends from a vast aspect.
For sure.
Many times market trends are relative to an area.
Yep.
Certain market trends are relative. You look at where once upon a time, DeKalb County, Georgia, was the most prosperous county in the country.
What year was this?
It was a long time ago.
It had to be.
It was like 2000. I want to say 2000, either early 2000s or late 90s.
Late 90s. Okay.
It was the most prosperous county in the country.
In the country.
Then it was the highest county for mortgage fraud a few years later. Right, exactly. And then you had certain subdivisions that were high on the list. Sure. Water's Edge being one of them.
I grew up just down the street from there.
Happened to buy a house in Water's Edge during that time.
Yeah.
I got right under the radar. But you look at those types of things, and you go back and you look at who was the political party in charge during that time, and what things were in place that kind of kept the rails on. And when I say rails, I want to be specific.
Please, yeah.
How can I don't want this to turn into a meme. There are rails in place for certain people.
Yes. Okay. Keep it moving.
Okay.
Yep.
There are rails in place for certain people, and those rails get higher when it's realized that certain people learn how to jump over them.
Yep.
Is that politically correct enough? Because the knowledge and the education of how to jump over those rails. Let me just keep it real. Let me
Here you go. I was wondering if it was gonna come or not. Here we go.
Let me just keep it real. It is what it is. There are things that people are allowed to do, and then certain people that we figure them out.
Yes.
We figure out how to do it, and then the rules change.
Yep.
Here's what it is.
Yeah.
The rules change. Now you can't do that no more.
Nope.
Okay. And let's also keep it real. We're gonna keep it 100 on the Real Life Real Estate Investor Show. We're gonna say, because sometimes when we learn how to do it, we learn how to mess it up. Yeah. And we mess it up for everybody. I'm not saying us. Maybe some of our cousins. Yeah. The ones who won't jump off the boat and swim across to help us.
Too soon.
Oh, that's too soon. My bad. Instead of look, they be the ones holding the camera.
Right. Not trying to swim to us. Oh man.
But it's those types of things that we have to have. We have to pay attention to the rules that are in place for the people that are now able to do those things and follow those same rules. If we follow those same rules, we can continue the opportunities that become available to us.
Absolutely.
And we can also create opportunities for the people that come behind us. But if we find a way to do a certain thing and
go around,
we do the hooking and crooking.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's no longer the same rules though. At that point.
Exactly. The rules have to change.
Yeah, because the rules that you were given weren't followed, and they weren't followed because you created another way around it.
Yes.
And that's
somebody gonna figure out what we're talking about. We're talking a little cryptic over here, but
and it comes back to knowledge and education too.
Yes.
Like, I think the more we know to, again, I'm not saying stick to the rules to a T.
Mhm.
What I am saying is, instead of the crooking and everything else that you just described,
Yes.
create a way that works for you within those guidelines, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
And also, like you said, the ones that are behind us. It's not just about us and our generation. Like,
Right.
it's bigger than that. It's bigger than us. We have to do what's right now for the ones that we're training up in this world.
That sounds so nice. You have such a pure bleeding heart. Look at you. Bless your heart.
Don't hit me with the bless your heart. I'm from the South. I know what that means.
Right.
Don't hit me with that. I know what that means. No.
But let me get some real life examples. I want people to get what we're talking about, because I look here, Kim. Let me see what Kim said. Say, knowledge is power. Know the rules.
Yes.
That's the key. You have to be willing to learn.
You have to.
Okay. The only challenge I have there is knowledge is potential power.
Because you have to use the knowledge.
You gotta use it. You
Yeah,
gotta
use
use
the
it.
knowledge.
But I want to get some real life examples of what I'm talking about, because like I said, we were talking a little cryptic.
Yeah, that's cool.
So once upon a time, I bought a course.
Okay.
And it was Carlton Sheets that said, "This is the way you get money back at closing."
Okay. That was the name of the course.
Well, no, the name of the course was No Down Payment.
No Down Payment. Okay.
By Carlton Sheets.
Okay.
Y'all, if anybody know who Carlton Sheets is, y'all know he was the 80s and 90s guru.
Okay.
But he had in his course ways that you can get money back at the table at closing.
Okay.
Now, he taught that for years and years and years. Then people learned how to do it, and they learned how to do it the crooked way.
Yeah.
Hence, and this is a major part of what happened during the market crash, where you had people who were inflating the values. This is why DeKalb County became the #1 mortgage fraud county.
Yeah.
You had people that were in cahoots with closing attorneys, appraisers, the mortgage companies even.
Yes.
Were all in cahoots with inflating the values, then allowing people to go and take $100,000 at closing. You buy a $150,000 house, the appraiser says it's worth $250,000.
So you get that.
You go and you can get $100,000 back at closing. Carlton Sheets taught us how to do this
the right way.
The right way.
The right way.
Where there was no guardrail. We were talking about the rails.
Yeah.
There was no rail on it then, because there was a way to do it legally in the correct way.
Yes.
But when you got people that were in cahoots and had all these different things, I mean, and the simplest thing, because I learned how to do it during that time, and I'll be honest, I'm just gonna keep it real. I wasn't smart enough to do it wrong.
That's not a bad thing.
Right.
That's not a bad thing.
I'm glad I wasn't smart enough to do it wrong.
That's not a bad
I
thing.
followed what Carlton Sheets taught to the letter. Yes. And I was able to be a part of the trend during that time of getting money back at closing.
Right.
I wasn't smart enough to increase the value. I don't know how to do that.
Right.
I'm not an appraiser.
For sure.
If the appraiser come out and say, this is what the house is worth, I'm just going to go with that.
This is what the house is worth.
It was folks that was going to say, hey, appraiser, this is what we need you to say the house is worth.
And here's is important to remember, because back then you could choose your appraiser.
You could choose your appraiser.
So that could be your cousin.
My cousin come along and say.
Right, exactly. So you were able to select your appraiser at the time. And then so when that bust, that's why now, for those that don't know, when you get a loan, a lender is not going to allow you to choose your appraiser anymore.
Nobody can choose it. It's well, from what I understand, even from hard money and traditional lenders.
For sure.
They're randomly selected.
Yes.
You use a service, a specific service that you buy into, and the appraiser is randomly selected.
And that is the reason that's in place is because of what you're talking about.
Yes.
So just decided for people following along.
Right. But yeah, that like during that time, like that was a thing that where you had so many people that would buy. And this is the simple thing: is if you got $100,000 back at closing, right? Okay, yeah, this house only worth $150,000.
Yeah.
But the other thing is there were ways that you could increase the value just by simply fixing the house up. Like they were getting money cash back on houses that weren't fixed up. If you take some of the money that you got back at closing, because that was some of the ways they were doing it was saying that the money was going to go towards the repairs.
Not even.
They bring an invoice to closing. Some of y'all that watch this, y'all know what I'm talking about. They bring an invoice to closing and said, this invoice says that this house is going to need this amount of repairs to get it to this value. And the mortgage company was like, okay, well, we'll give it to you.
That sounds good. Let's do it. No.
our cousins Nim, our cousins Nim, all they had to do was take that money,
and go do the
fix
right
up the
thing. Go
house,
do the right
do
thing.
the right thing,
Like we
and
trying
then
to tell
sell it
y'all.
and still get money back.
And still get the money. Either way.
But why? Why? But I guess they were like, no, I just take the money and I'm gonna do something else with it. Yeah. So so those are
That's
things
tough.
that that was a major part of, like they were talking even during the crash. I believe the percentage of regular homeowners
Yeah.
who went into foreclosure was like 2 to 3%.
Yeah.
The
Is there,
people that went into foreclosure at a higher rate were the investors,
yeah.
because you
Imagine.
figure if I got three other houses and I got the one that I'm living in,
Right.
I'm gonna let them other three go
Yeah.
instead of my primary house.
Gotta keep the roof over my head.
Right. So that's where a lot of that. I know I can't remember the exact percentage of it, but if those of y'all that are watching, Google it. Get me right. I'm
Yeah.
okay. Um, it was a higher percentage of investors whose properties went into foreclosure, and a big percentage of that was a result of the mortgage fraud.
Mortgage fraud.
You had closing attorneys. I mean, this is where some of you remember the time
Wow.
where they were arresting the loan officer. They were arresting the real estate agents. They were arresting the
Really?
appraisers and the closing attorney.
Wow.
There were closings where people they're doing the transaction and the feds came in and arrested everybody at the closing table.
Wow.
Now, these are the things. Let's talk about
Wow.
trends. Let's talk about trends.
Yeah.
These are the things that
Wow.
some of my guru homies. If you've never seen or experienced or understood any of these things like this, and you were in high school during this time, how are you able to? And it's all relative
Sure.
again to the
Sure.
trend.
Sure.
For the moment, you have people who were coming in 5 years ago. Now they're teaching people about real estate investing. But what's missed in that, I want people to get this, what's missed in that education is there's been no adversity.
Yeah.
There's been no real challenge. So you teaching people how to ride the wave, which is cool. Everybody can get paid on riding the wave.
For sure. For
But
sure.
now we're in a different market.
Yeah.
What does that Where does that education go from riding the wave to now in a down market?
Yeah. Just sitting on the way.
Right.
Trying to figure it out.
Well, and what they consider down market, and this is the dramatic part of it, is the down market is houses are on the market for 30 days.
This is crazy to me.
This is a down market for some of these people.
Yeah. I mean, again, when we started, there were houses, granted, and this was quick for us 30, 35 days. Like, oh, man, let's go. And then again, that whole COVID thing, it's like a negative 2 days on market. You thought about listing the house, it was sold. That spoiled us.
Yes.
It spoiled us.
Yes.
We're already, I feel like, in a microwave society. Like we want everything right now. How you put food in the microwave, 2 minutes, you got it.
Right.
It's the same thing. What COVID did. It put everybody in my house sits for 5 days. Oh, I'll start to panic. Something must not be right.
Haven't got any offers yet?
Nothing yet.
It's been 2 days.
Nothing over asking. It hasn't been 50,000 over asking.
Right.
Like, and it's like, guys, like it's okay.
Like the open house doesn't have cars down the street. What's wrong?
Just breathe. It's gonna be okay. I mean, and even though we're returning back to pre-COVID days, again, when we started, this is normal. This is normal, and I'm thankful for that experience to know and not to freak out. To say what am I doing wrong? Even like what did I not rehab something the right way? Did something? No, it's okay.
It's okay.
It's okay.
It is what it is.
Yeah.
And again, when we're talking about market trends, we can't leave out. When I was talking about going back to the retro days, we can't leave out where you actually said if you've seen it before in your lifetime, it's not unlikely that
nothing's new under the sun.
That's real talk.
Nothing's
like
new
I said,
under the sun.
You can't manufacture antiques.
Yeah. Yes. Nothing's new under the sun, and it's gonna come right back around.
I remember even in 2003 when I bought my first investment property in Georgia. I bought it as a house. I was just gonna, sell it on seller financing or do a lease purchase.
Okay.
But I was like, man, it's a nice house. This house on Water's Edge. I said, you know what? I might well move in this house myself.
Yeah.
I bought that house. That was a house that I got $42,000 back at closing.
At closing, okay.
I always tell the story. I said I got the same exact salary from the job I was laid off a year prior.
Yeah.
So I
In
got
one house, in
at
one deal.
one deal,
One deal. That's
$42,000
how
I got
life
back
can
at
change in
closing.
real estate.
Right.
Go ahead.
Now what I did was like, see, I could have been like other idiots and took the money and ran
Yeah.
and just let the house go away. However, I moved into that house and that money helped me pay the mortgage.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. You did the smart thing. You
Right.
did the smart thing.
But the thing that happened in that transaction, I had a first mortgage of 12%.
Okay.
I had a second mortgage of 8%. So when I see people or hear people panicking over getting a 6 or 7% mortgage, I'm like, really?
And let's be honest, that wasn't that long ago.
That was
What
20 years ago. It was 20 years ago. It was 2003.
But still, I
Yeah.
don't feel like that's that long. But yeah.
No, I mean,
Yeah.
if you look at it relatively, it wasn't that long ago.
Right.
I mean, I guess for my lifetime, but when you got a 25-year-old guru, then it is a long time ago.
I got you.
I was 5. Yeah.
Right. That's facts.
But
That's facts. I'm just going to elementary school.
exactly.
Yeah.
But even prior to that, my first house that I bought in Detroit,
Okay.
the house was $28,000.
Okay.
That house, I believe the mortgage on that was 13.99. And this was in 1998.
Wow.
So you figure 1998, I was excited to buy that house with 13%.
We'll do it again.
Because I heard that some people's interest rates were 19. I was excited to be able to get that house at 13.
Run it again. Can we buy another one? Can we buy another one?
I'm like, I can't wait to do this again.
Yeah. Wow.
Then my next transaction was 12% or 11%.
11%. Yeah.
And then the 8% the second. So I'm like, okay, 5 years earlier or 4 years earlier, I could have been in a situation where I could have paid 19% anyway. But now I'm buying a much bigger house. I get money back,
right,
and it's 11 and 8%. So, and I had 2 mortgages.
Yeah.
Not one. I had 2.
Yeah.
And I'm 100% financed.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah, okay, I didn't have to come to the table with any money. But if you look at now, where in many cases, even if FHA, you got 3.5%. Yep. So you got a little skin in the game. Not a whole lot, but you got one mortgage for potentially 30 years. Yeah. And that interest rate is what it is. If it's 6 or 7% now, if you look at the market trends, of course, I don't know before that 1998 property I bought, was there interest rates below 13, 14, 15%? I don't know. I don't remember.
Yeah.
But I've seen it go from 13 to 12 to 6 to 2 and back up to now 7.
Yeah.
Okay. So it's likely that depending on the trends and the changes in the market, that our interest rate can go back down. Yeah. So go ahead and buy that house at 7%. Buy it. And here's the other thing. Here's the other thing that
or if you don't want to buy it, send it to us. We'll buy it.
Right.
Sorry. Go ahead.
Here's the other thing I want people to get. At the very least, if you buy it at 7%, and interest rate goes up, you still got in when
you're locked in at 7.
You're locked in at
7. Yeah.
So
you still did the right thing.
You still did the right thing.
Did the right thing.
But you'll wait. Some people are like, oh well, hey, I'm gonna wait till the market crash.
Okay.
Then I'm gonna wait till interest rates go down. For a while, you could have purchased the property, and the equity is gonna go up anyway.
Regardless. Yeah. That's another conversation maybe for the day, but like equity.
I feel like I talked this whole. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, you're doing great. But that's a whole other conversation because alone, like so you bank now, and 12%. Yeah, say you got locked in at a 7%, and it goes to 9%. Your equity is still regardless, and you're locked in at that lower interest rate.
Absolutely.
So life is still decent. Life is still good. Like. Yes. People, you just realize that. Just understand and realize, and do your own research. Do your own research on the trends, because again, nothing's new under the sun. So you want to make sure that you're well aware, have the knowledge to make an educated decision to say, okay, yeah, it is 7%, and yeah, my mortgage or my payment is this. And if you're renting it out, you're not paying anything. So just come up with another exit strategy that allows you to still win. And in your example last week, win.
Yes.
3 wins.
Yes.
But like
Yes.
always come up with a strategy that carries and protects you. And so if you're like again, if you're renting it out, okay, your mortgage is 1,200, but you're in a nice area, so you're charging 1,700. Okay,
Right.
who's mad? Like so just come up with situations that allows you to win and still have the asset, which is the
Definitely.
most important. That's
Absolutely.
most important. Get assets now, guys. Like
Get the bird in the hand.
yeah,
The one in the bush is the one you might not ever get.
That's like an old school saying. That's not old school.
Okay,
Right
so
there.
she basically telling the age gap. She telling people how
Uh-oh.
old I am.
Sorry, guys. Sorry. Oh, I ain't never heard that one before.
You ever heard a bird in the hand beats one in the bush? Oh man, come on.
Sorry. Do we have any questions?
Got some. Got to put some age disclaimers on this.
Sorry. Never heard that one.
But no, I mean, just one last point, just
For sure.
mentioning market trends. There are investors who some of them have slowed down investing because of like interest rates are going back up.
Yeah.
But the one thing that I get is that if you buy right, first of all, don't rush in and just buy anything because it's for sale.
Sure.
If you buy right, the interest rates are really relative to inflation in a sense.
Yeah.
And if you got a 7% interest rate, it's likely that rents have gone up.
Yeah.
So
and which rents have gone up?
Rents have significantly
Yes.
gone up.
Yes.
You're not going to go buy a $200,000 house and have a $1,500 monthly payment and charge $1,200 in rent.
Negative. Why they do that?
Well, some people they still going by the infamous 1% rule. I'm gonna buy a $300,000 house and I can only rent it for $2,500.
The market nowadays, I mean, it has increased in all areas.
It has.
No matter the area. Let me just say that. It goes up higher in certain areas. However, it has increased no matter where you are.
True.
So if you are an investor that has rentals and say you're just doing it for passive income and you don't check often because you have tenants, if your tenant's been great, cool, but just be mindful of where the rental market is going.
Definitely.
So always keep yourself abreast of different market trends and the increase in market rents as the investor, because they have drastically improved.
Definitely. And just another benefit, if you're holding off on buying and you're renting, you're throwing away money right now, hoping for the possibility of getting a lower monthly payment. So you don't have control of the payment that you're paying now.
No control.
Because you're a renter.
Yeah.
As opposed to being a person that buys, get over the interest rate. You still will potentially. Now think about it. If the interest rate is the same for you as it is for many other people, it's higher for an investor. So it's if you go and buy that house at 7%, the interest rate for the investor is probably 9%. So if he's buying it and he's got to pay 9%, plus he's putting down 20%, he's going to figure out a way to recoup his money. And guess who's going to help him pay it back?
You. So yeah. We're gonna get money regardless.
We're gonna get our money back one way or another.
That's a great point. If you're renting right now and don't understand or don't feel comfortable with the knowledge that you may have, reach out, because we're more than welcome or more than happy to help out, because again, it goes back to the education piece, right? It goes back to the education piece, because again, in that example you just provided, you're paying 9%, which again pays their mortgage and the money that they paid to purchase the property. Mm-hmm. However, they're also getting money monthly from you.
Yes.
So it's like you're paying so much more than when just being a homeowner yourself. Right. Mm-hmm. So let's take the fear out of home ownership and let's talk about it. Let's educate and let's go buy some houses.
Real stuff.
Let's go do it.
Listen, y'all, drop some comments. If y'all got questions, we'll definitely be following back up. We will go back and read the comments. We follow up. For those of you that catch the show live, thank y'all for joining us live.
Thank you.
For those of you that catch the replay, still feel free, if you got comments, questions, anything, reach out to us. We have, I want to say, okay, I don't have it. I don't have it yet. It's in there somewhere. But tell the folks how they can get in contact with you.
Absolutely. Let's so I'm on Instagram, Ace the Eagle. So that's ACEDAEAGLE.
Oh yeah, it's not right. I'm sorry.
It's all good. We'll work on that. So again, that's Ace the Eagle. Also you can Candace Briggs on Facebook. You can send me a DM. Let's talk about it, y'all. Let's take the fear out of home ownership. It's a powerful thing. Having assets, even if you have a different strategy down the line. So you live in it now, say 3 years, you want to, rent that one, move somewhere else. Everybody should own real estate in some matter. So again, how do you reach me? Ace the Eagle, Instagram, and then Candace Briggs on Facebook.
I'm Glenn Glasper. You can give me a Mr. Dollar out of a dime on Instagram. And don't forget to follow the Real Life Real Estate Investing YouTube channel. Absolutely. And the Real Life Real Estate Investing Instagram page. I have this thing that I was told, and I want to help someone help me debunk this myth. I was told, and this is going to be the topic of the conversation for next week.
Next week, let's do it.
I was told that millennials are not buying houses anymore. Millennials are more likely to rent.
Real talk? We got Nine Tail Productions over here shaking his head.
Shout out to Nine Tail Productions.
Go follow him on IG as well. Nine Tailed Productions, and the 9 is spelled out. Nine Tailed Productions. Go check him out. And so he's back here shaking his head for the millennials. Are y'all renting?
Let's talk about that next week.
Let's do it. And so what that automatically tells me is that we need to get some land and get a community to create the rentals for them. That's reasonable.
It's happening, right? It's happening.
It is happening.
Yeah. And if they're millennials, you're a millennial too. So I'm gonna take a shot at you.
Oh, come on.
Take a shot at you.
But I believe in home ownership. I ain't rent.
Well, see, you're a millennial. That's an investor.
Right.
So there are some millennials that they don't know what's reasonable though. It's for rent. I'll just pay it.
I'll just pay regardless. They're okay. Yeah.
And a lot of millennials are making a lot of money.
I was about to say it's relative.
It's relative.
Yes.
A lot of millennials are making a lot of money, and they're like, this $200,000 house, they want $3,000 a month for rent. Okay.
Let's teach these millennials how to invest.
Real talk.
Let's teach them how to get an investment on their returns if they want to throw money away.
Right.
Let's talk about it. All right, next week.
And listen, shout out to the millennials. For those of you that are watching, that if you happen to be a millennial, come on the show with us.
Let's
go. If you're in the local Metro Atlanta area, we're gonna have you come on the show with us. Even if you haven't come, you sit in our audience.
Yeah, let's do it.
We're gonna have a live audience. We're gonna make sure we make that happen for next week. So y'all check out the show next week. We'll be having conversations with millennials and why they want to invest.
That's a great conversation because they need to.
All right,
let's do it. Thank y'all.
Anything you want to?
Just thank y'all for joining. Thank y'all for joining. Please, if you have any comments, questions, don't feel shy. Don't feel any of those things. Either leave the comments on the thread or send a message via DM or hit us on one of our socials. We would love to connect. That's what this is about: connection and education and having fun. So we're gonna do all three of those things. So thank y'all for joining.
I think Kimberly just invited herself as another co-host next week.
Let's go.
She said her last buyer clients were millennials. She said, let's talk about it.
They were. They actually were. Let's do it.
So you are officially on the show with us next week.
Let's go.
Look, is it okay?
It's all good. It's all good.
Let me make sure I want to.
It's all good. No, I'm here for it.
I got to check myself on 2 levels as a co-host and as a spouse. I don't want to be, making no executive decisions.
No, it's all good. I'm always here. Anybody that wants to come join us in the conversation, let's do it.
Definitely.
Let's do it.
All right, we'll make it happen. Listen, this has been the Real Life Real Estate Investing Show, where we talk about real life real estate situations, but we bring you real life real estate solutions. Thank y'all for watching, and we'll look forward to seeing y'all on next week.
Let's go.